with Netflix now, there's a new movie coming out. Sirens of the Deep, you're playing Geralt.
I wasn't expecting it at all because I was expecting a certain other person who is associated with Netflix. I was expecting that person to do it. But I was very happy to be asked, and I said yes straight away. And I just turned a corner, and there was this guy in front of me, and he said, "Hi." And I said, "Hi." And I didn't recognize him at first. And then he's like, "I'm Sam. You know, Sam, we've been talking on Twitter." I'm sorry, I'm doing a very, very poor Swedish accent. I think that in the long run, we will probably see way more benefit from AI in everyday life than we will bad stuff.
Now, before we jump into the episode, I must mention the comment of the day. And I got 2 comments for you today, and this one is coming from my last episode where I talked to Wilhelmina voice actor. And this is coming from Epsilonix, who said, probably my favorite NPC in the game, so naturally I did her quests as soon as I could, and then was devastated to never see her again. Yeah, well, the Wilhelmina quest in Dragon's Dogma 2 is short, it's not continuous after that, so it's kind of disappointing that we don't get to see her after that. And the second comment is from Edmaster93, who commented on Deborah Wilson episode. They say, I know her work, she's fantastic, now watching herself, I absolutely love her. A strong woman, such example of power, an example to follow. That is true. Deborah Wilson is such an example to follow. She is so wise and she has learned so much in her life, and there's so much to learn from her. And now it's time to get into this episode.
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. And thanks for asking me to come and have a chat with you.
Absolutely. You are such an icon. You have an iconic voice. You have an iconic role that you have been playing for so long. And people know you as Geralt, and you are the voice of Geralt. So it's an honor for me really to have you here and talk about it. And so how's your year been so far? Like, it's been 4 months in, but how's your year?
It's been interesting. It's funny for a lot of acting, not just voice acting, but television and film and things like that as well. Even for stage to a certain extent, January is often very quiet.
Yeah.
Or can be, not always, and not for everybody, but just in general across the industry, January tends to be a very quiet kind of time. So it's been quiet, which is kind of nice because I've been able to do some things that I wanted to catch up on, and then of course at the same time you're going, well, I hope the work picks up again soon because I got bills to pay, but it's not been bad in any way, shape, or form. It's just the cycle of things. This January, February time is always a funny, quiet, kind of reflective time.
Yeah.
At least in my experience.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, I think it's interesting because when the year starts, you have, I don't know if you kind of set goals, but a lot of people can obviously set goals in some ways or what they want to do this year and stuff like that. But it starts off slow. And then I think a lot of people after a couple of months be like, nothing is happening. And so it goes in that panic mode. But do you kind of set sort of these goals when the year begins, or you do something like that? Or is it like, I'm just going to go one by one, project by project, see where it leads?
I'm not really one to set particular goals. I've tried doing New Year's resolutions and things like that in the past.
Yeah.
Never works. I'm one of the many, the hordes of people who try to make New Year's resolutions that don't quite work. No, when I set goals, it's more of a short-term kind of thing. This week I'm going to do this or whatever. I've learned about myself. I'm very reactive. I'm often not a proactive person who, sets goals and works to achieve them. I'm much more of this thing has come up and I need to do something about it, and then I'll do something about it. But actual planning of goals. I mean, I do have goals. I'm not saying I don't have goals at all.
Of course.
But I don't sit down and write them down and keep track of my achievement against the goal or anything like that. Nothing formal of any kind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Do you do New Year's resolutions and things like that?
I mean, I think just as you, I used to. And then I realized it will never work. So I stopped doing that. But I do kind of set some sort of goal, like in my mind. I don't note it down anywhere, but I do have it would be great if I can get this or something like that. I would work on it. Hopefully I can get it. If not, that's okay. But I'll try to get some extent better than last year, I think, something like that. Because since for me, this podcast is very important and I gone full into it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get. Hopefully, I can get more people in. Hopefully, more people will be interested and all that stuff. Hopefully, people can find this fun. So
Yeah.
that thing is what always is in my mind. So it's not concrete goals, but it's like goals that I continuously want to work in.
Yeah, general kind of goals. I
General
get
goals.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
more like that as well.
Yeah, it's. I
I
think
have
it's.
goals like I want to play more guitar, and then my guitar is out. It's sat there right
Yeah.
next to my side of the bed. And do I pick it up? No.
Oh my god, I could totally feel you there. It's funny, but it's incredible. You have been an actor for a long time. You've worked in games for so long. I think 20+ years on games.
Mm.
How has that journey been for you since the very first game to now?
Well, I mean, the journey has been fascinating, and I could have never predicted where it might have taken me way back when. I did my first voiceover for a game back in 1999, so 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, it'll be 25 years ago this September, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
Um, it's been great. It's been a blessing, actually. Uh, and I never would have thought that my career would have taken the path that it has taken.
Mhm.
And I tell students now, when I teach or when younger actors ask me about, career and planning your career and everything,
Yeah.
I always say, you know what? Don't plan too hard, because the thing is, when I graduated from university and first started really working as an actor, video games wasn't even a thought.
Mhm.
I did television, I did film, I did theater, um, mostly theater actually. And then I fell into this voice acting thing, quite by accident. And and then I just kept getting called. Can you come in and do this job? Can you come in and audition for this? Can you do that? Are you available for that? Um, and just gradually, it I think a career is something that you look back on retrospectively.
Yeah.
You can plan a career, but my experience is if I had been too strongly planning my career as an actor, I probably would have never taken acting in games seriously,
Yeah, I guess so.
because nobody else did.
Mhm.
I did it because it was fun,
Yeah.
and it paid, and I was happy to be paid to do things that I like to do.
Yeah.
And, um, but it's only now looking back that I could even call it a career, it's,
Understandable. Yeah.
um, yeah.
It's
So
it's
so my advice to anybody starting out in anything really is don't be too set on where you think you need to go in your job or your life or your career. Be open to the idea that something unexpected might come along that turns out to be even better than what you could have possibly planned for or imagined.
yeah. Yeah, that's a great advice. And I think yeah, it's harder for someone who is kind of like in that direction and just not able to understand like something other than what I have planned can happen. Huh. And then when they live out and then like, okay, something actually did happen and I never expected it. So it's like a interesting thing. Like it will only some things will only happen. You just have to live and just experience it and take it all in and go one by one. I think that's yeah, that's a great advice. And I think that's something that I'm also trying to take in and not plan too hard on it. But at least one thing is I'm for sure is like one thing 100% like try to tell everybody. At least I'm not like a lot of people do a lot of different things, but I'm trying to make sure that if you're having fun with something, if you like something, please do that and not something else. If you can, obviously, that's the one thing that I at least try to tell people, because a lot of people go in the other direction or just don't know what they can do or never try out to find that out as well. So that's the one thing I also try to say. But obviously, I'm too young to even give advice anyway.
Well, and that takes courage as well to make
Yeah.
decisions like that, to make choices that other people might see as foolish or
Yeah.
silly or not important, or whatever it may be, other people's expectations can have a really strong influence over us, especially if those influences are coming from people who we love and respect. So, not to discredit that at all, but I think you're right. Do things that interest you. Not I think it's always better to do things that you're interested in doing rather than doing something you think you should be doing. And there's a fine line there because sometimes you just have to do certain things. You can't get the job as an actor if you don't do the audition. Even if the audition feels a little bit painful to you because you're nervous and anxious about it and you can't remember your lines or whatever it is, you have to let all that go and remember that even the audition is part of your job and part of the fun. I've only the last, I don't know, 5 or I don't know, maybe 10 years. It's been a gradual process, but I've come to a point now where actually I really enjoy the auditioning because it's a chance to try something out and see what people think. And sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. And, being able to let that go, to do it, prepare for it, do it as well as you can, and then walk away from it. It's really freeing.
Yeah, yeah, I can totally understand. Yeah, that's an interesting feeling that you have been into that place where you're enjoying these old things, and once you, I think, enjoy it even more, gets more easier. And
Mm.
one thing that is actually has gotten better is like this voice acting industry, I guess, gotten a lot better now. Like before, as you mentioned, like it was not even a thing to consider, a thing of a career
Mm.
before when you started out. What are kind of the changes you see, like as compared to the first time you kind of started out versus now, like how the industry has changed and shifted?
Wow, how has the industry changed and shifted in my time working as a voice actor? A lot has changed. The actual job itself hasn't changed that much, but
Mm,
some of the technology around it, some of the expectations around it, certainly the awareness,
mm, yeah,
the general public's awareness of who is voicing this game character that they love so much.
mm,
That's something that exists now that just didn't exist when I first started out. It didn't even really exist when Witcher 3 came out. It took over a year for anybody to come looking for me. Not that I was waiting for that to happen. I wasn't sitting around waiting for someone to come find me or contact me on Twitter or whatever. I wasn't at all. I was very, very busy. But again, retrospectively looking back, it's like, wow, that's interesting. Nobody knew or cared who voiced Geralt. And this game went bonkers crazy. Everybody loved it so much, but nobody really cared. But now, when a big game like that comes out, everybody knows who the voice actors are for the main characters. So that's changed quite a bit. There used to be a we used to kill a lot of trees. We we used to get all the scripts all in paper. And so, I'd have a thick script like this that would be printed off for today's recordings. The director would have a similar script. The engineer might have another script. There might be someone else with another script, and all this paper, just to record some lines. And now, I almost never get any kind of paper script. Everything's sent digitally. I go into the studio, or I'm working here in my little studio, and the lines are on an Excel spreadsheet or a spreadsheet of some kind, um, on a television monitor. So we're not killing any trees. That's
yes.
changed quite a bit.
Hell yeah.
Um, yeah, lots has changed. Used to be people didn't really actors entering the acting industry,
Mm,
didn't really wanna do game voices.
yeah.
They didn't really see it as, legitimate acting. But now everybody wants to be in games. So there's a growing spotlight on actors working in games and games themselves. I mean, the games industry outstrips Hollywood by
Yeah.
like 20 times revenue or something like that.
Yeah.
Billions and billions and billions of dollars. So it's a huge industry, but it's very different. It's very different from the television and film
Mm.
industry or from the stage industry. It's a different world entirely.
Oh yeah.
and it has changed a lot. It's, like I said, technology has changed, places have changed. I've kind of I've lived in the UK for a very long time
Yeah.
now, since 1999, and the studios that I tend to work with here in the UK, I've seen them all change as well.
Mhm.
Some of them have grown up into corporate entities that are fine, but not as comfortable as they used to be.
Yeah.
And others have maintained this really strong identity, who they are and what they want to be and how they want to do their work. And it's been fascinating to be part of that journey as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. True. That a lot has changed, and a lot has changed for the better or worse, whatever it is. And I really am happy that a lot of people now are more interested, more so ever, to see who the voice actors are, and they research first of all, and they can recognize voices now. Like, oh yeah, I know this voice. This is this guy, this guy, and they would watch or read interviews, and those things are really cool. And one of the recent interviews, I think you, Samantha, and Ben were a part of, was about talking about AI and video games and how it's kind of changed. And that is a thing, that's a topic that's been talked about for a long time, obviously. And AI has, maybe it's going to be positive, negative, but mostly, obviously, with voice acting, a lot of voices have been just taken without any proper consent, been utilized. And that's been going on. I think it's going to be even more on force on that. But I'm happy that some people are talking about it. And at least there was, I think, some studio tried to do an experiment to make a game fully based on AI, did not work out, put out a statement, talents are better, AI is not good. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on like AI and this acting, which is, I do understand that AI is going to be here, and somehow we have
Mm.
to manage and work with it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're absolutely right. I think that AI is here. It's gonna stay.
Mm,
Um, I think that in the long run, we will probably see way more benefit,
yeah.
just in general,
Mm,
way more benefit from AI in everyday life than we will bad stuff.
yeah.
But the bad stuff is already happening, and governments just can't keep up. They can't create laws fast enough for this emerging technology. Um, so we're in this funny kind of Wild West time with AI. I think that eventually there will be systems in place so that actors can protect their voices and, to protect their voice from being used unscrupulously or something like that. Um, but they haven't been created yet. A friend of mine in the States, Cissy Jones, another voice actor, um, Sissy is working with a couple of people she knows to develop a company where voice actors can store and monetize and control the use of their digital voice. So there are people out there doing this. There are people who are, tackling this challenge straight on. I think developers will use AI and I think they will learn how to use it very, very effectively. I mean, one of the things that I've talked with a number of people in the AI industry who are interested in capturing actors' voices and then helping that actor to control the usage of it and also monetize the usage of it, which is what we all want. And they all say that, one of the great benefits to developers is that the developer can create even more vast worlds for the player to explore because they can populate some of these NPCs with AI voices, AI generated voices, which makes it more affordable for them, potentially a richer experience for the player. But it does have its drawbacks as well because at the moment, a lot of those casual NPC characters, they're voiced by people like me, or more importantly, they're voiced by people who are just starting to work doing voices for games. So they'll get a couple small NPCs in a big game or something like that, and that's how they build their experience and build their CV and hopefully get more work. So that, there's a danger here that the entry level jobs, there may become fewer of them. At the same time that there are more aspiring voice actors in the world than ever before.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to do it. AI is going to reduce some of the need for real people. So somewhere in between those two things lies a hard, possibly difficult, but inevitable truth.
Yeah. True. I mean, yeah, Sissy Jones. I remember I had her on the podcast, and she was talking about how she's going to set this company. She's trying to do this. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And I hope that at some point we can reach to a level where it's not to a point where it's just being used. Nobody knows, and somebody looks up, finds out, thankfully, and then they contact the voice actor like, hey, your voice has been used, without even letting you know. I hope those kind of go out and go down. And obviously it's like the very begin, not very beginning, but still in the beginning stages. So all these bad stuff will happen first, and eventually, hopefully, something good can come out of it. But yes, a lot of people are more into voice acting, and one of the voices that you are obviously known of is Geralt. Such a iconic character. It continues till now. It's insane that the game came out. Witcher 3 came out in 2015. It's almost a decade old, and it still holds up to this point. Like, it still looks that good, even though there's an enhanced edition. People sometimes play the original version and still be like, "Oh my god, this game still looks that good." And there's this few actors who are very connected per se. Like, okay, this, for example, Kevin Conroy is always going to be the Batman, and Mark Hamill is always going to be the Joker. And for me and for a lot of people, you will always be Geralt. So what has this kind of relationship been since Witcher 1 and to Witcher 3? And even now you're continuing it. How has that relationship of you and Geralt been like?
It's been a blessing, to be honest. Actors, professional actors, we move between jobs frequently.
Yeah.
We'll do 3 weeks on a movie here. We'll do a week of recording for a radio play there. We'll do 2 days on something else. Well, we're constantly moving around, meeting different people, doing different work, and very, very rarely coming back to the same character. I think any actor who is fortunate enough, as I have been, to be associated with one particular character for the many years. I mean, I started recording Witcher 1 as Geralt in 2005. So 20 years ago, nearly 20 years ago. So that, I've had what, 19 and a bit years getting to know Geralt. And this is going to sound odd, but also him getting to know me.
I see.
It's a funny thing because I do feel like, I always feel as an actor that I can't just pretend to be somebody. That's not acting. Acting is, to a certain extent, transforming into someone else and behaving as they would behave in a situation. But there's a wonderful acting teacher, Michael Chekhov. I'm going to get these mixed up a little bit. I think it was Michael Chekhov who talks about the magic if. If I were this person, this character, if I were this person in this situation, how would I behave? And it's always got to come back to me.
Yeah.
How would I behave in this situation? Because that's all I really know. My experiences, my, things I've done and experienced and felt and heard and seen and said in my own life are the only things I really have to inform the creation of a character. So I always feel a little bit like I have to give a little bit of myself to the character that I'm playing in order for that character to have a truthful existence. And so there's this funny give and take. So with Geralt, I feel like I've had this really, really long bromance, where he's learning about me and I'm learning about him. And over time, he's kind of become just a bit of part of my soul.
Yeah. Totally. Yes. I mean, as I mentioned, like, Geralt has, like, you brought Geralt to life in such a great way. And obviously the writers also, it just came from the books and character was already there. But you have played it in such a incredible way because there's recasting happening all the time. People get recasted in a particular role. That didn't happen. Although I think in one of the interviews you mentioned that I think in Witcher 2 you were supposed to get, or you were about to get recasted or something like that was possible at the time, and but you
Yeah.
reached out and it was like, no, you're gonna get back. So I mean, that's the thing that I really like, that they understood that you are the one that Geralt needs at the same time, is what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
so far it's been going super amazing. And I think at this point it's like, if it's not you, nobody else should play Geralt. And I'm so happy that people get to play these games and get to know you as Geralt, and appreciate the work that you have done over the years.
Like I said, I feel blessed to have been part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And as you say, it continues. I mean, I can't tell you anything about Witcher 4 because I don't
Mhm.
know anything about Witcher 4.
Yeah.
And they're remaking Witcher 1, so I may be asked to go back in and re-record or record new lines. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I'd never say never.
Mm.
I think that my relationship with CD Projekt and with The Witcher and Geralt himself is strong enough that they will bring me back when they need Geralt's voice again.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
hope, anyways. Fingers crossed. Like I said, never say never.
Now, before we continue this episode, I just want to say that I have my own store where you can buy prints, t-shirts, and more based on video games. There are posters and t-shirts of games like Alan Wake 2, Helldivers 2, Dragon's Dogma 2, Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, and there will be more coming. So if you're interested, you can check out my store by clicking the link in the description or typing in gameandmadness.com/store. That is GAMINMADNESS.com/store. And let's go back into this episode. But one of the things that you think was the same interview that or I think it was a conference where you were talking about how you might get recasted. But there was one thing that you mentioned doing that is like how instead of you thinking about how, okay, maybe they didn't like my performance, I think I'm not good enough or something like that, you instead of not going that route, you went to the other route where you gave a call and you told them like, okay, hey, I'm still available. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to get better and do it again. That I really like that. Not go thinking on a different perspective instead of thinking of, oh, I'm bad and I'm not good. How do you kind of like can figure out like, okay, I need to go in this direction? Because usually even myself, I'll just go into that negative spot. Like that must be it.
Yeah.
And not the finding that small positive light and going with that.
Well, I think there's a certain amount of, I don't want to say it's an easy thing to do because it isn't. Well, I think there's a certain amount of just having to say, fuck it, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
What actually happened was I used to teach full time as well as do my voice acting on the side and teaching acting. And I was in the office one day and I got a phone call from a friend saying, I've just auditioned for Geralt of Rivia, but I thought you voiced Geralt of Rivia. And I was like, I do. And so I did. I contacted CD Projekt, somebody I knew there, and said, hey, I just heard you're recasting. Don't know why you're recasting, but I'd love to throw my hat in the ring again. I'd love to be considered again. Let me know if I can audition. And they came back and said, well, actually, we've had the vocal director listen to your work again from Witcher 1, and we would like you to come back. But before that happened, I did have all those feelings. I did think, well, I wonder what I did wrong. I wonder what they didn't like about my performance. I wonder, all the ways it could be my fault that I wasn't chosen. Now, I didn't know this at the time. I didn't find out until a week or two after we started recording Witcher 2. But basically the main vocal director said, I can't remember how it came up, but they basically said, yeah, CD Projekt just wanted to go in a whole different direction. They wanted to rethink everything. So we went back to the drawing board with everything. So it had nothing to do with me at all. But I didn't know that. So it's easy for us to internalize, when we get bad news or news that, isn't good, it's about our work. It's really easy to internalize that and go, oh, well, I must really stink then. I must be really bad, or I must have done something wrong, or I've offended someone, or, something, I've done something to make this happen. Right. And maybe you have, but maybe you haven't. And until you know, why worry about it? You know, you have no control over it except to then decide on a course of action and take that action. And the more positive the action, the better the potential outcome. So, and I say this like it's an easy thing to do, and it's not. But that's why I say there's a certain amount of just having to go, fuck it. I feel like I'm at fault, but you know what? I don't know. And I know I can be good at what I'm doing. So I'm going to go back out there and say, hi, I'm still here.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah, it's as I said, it's harder to do, but it's like I think it's important to do. Important to at least have that mindset that, or try to take that mindset off. Which again is also harder to do. But like, hopefully, I mean, I'm trying to do that at the same time. Sometimes I go back to that board again. But like, I'm trying to obviously think of the different way and think of the positive-ish way to actually get it done instead of like, worrying about it and thinking about it too much, instead like doing something about it now. So that's the thing. That's one thing that I'm trying to change. But with Geralt, and I think it's very cool that with Netflix now, there's a new movie coming out of the animated movie. I know you cannot talk much about it, but like Sirens of the Deep, and you're playing Geralt. What can you share? What can you talk about it? Are there any challenges that you faced in this version, I guess you can say, of the movie?
Yeah. Well, I was really, really pleased to be asked by Netflix to voice Geralt for the Netflix animated film. I was really pleased because I wasn't expecting it at all. Because I was expecting a certain other person who is associated with Netflix and, the live action Witcher. I was expecting that person to do it. So it was completely out of the blue, but I was very happy to be asked, and I said yes straight away. Because any chance to perform as Geralt is a good thing for me. I enjoy it so much. So I went in and I did the voice, and the voice isn't really hard for me to do. It's just part of my vocal range now. But what I did find challenging, and I don't think this is giving too much away, I had to try to speak in I think they called it mere speak, mermaids and mermen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God.
and they created this whole language for the mere people, and I had to try and speak mere language as Geralt. And it was really hard. It was really hard because the mere speech is it's very sing-songy, it's very melodic.
Yeah.
And Geralt isn't particularly melodic.
Yeah.
So I was working with the director, and we were trying to get Geralt to sound like he was doing mere speech. I mean, I can't wait to see what it ends up sounding like. I have no idea. In the end, we kind of agreed that Geralt may not be very good at speaking mere speech.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going to be at. I think it's going to be Geralt struggling to speak a language he doesn't actually speak very well.
I really hope that at one point in time, when he's trying to speak and then just says, fuck it, I'm just going to go. Fuck this language. And just go with it. That'd be funny. But yeah, it's amazing that you are in this. I'm super excited for the film to come out on Netflix, and I'm excited to see where it takes, what it is all about. The trailer, I think, came out, and then it just looks pretty cool. And so I'm hoping to really excited for this. I cannot wait to watch. And speaking of, you mentioned how obviously Netflix could have gone with the live action version as well, and the live action version which is season 1, which I liked. I really enjoyed it. Season 2 and season 3 kind of went a little down, and season 4 is recasted. Liam Hemsworth is playing it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he brings to it, because I think he'll go for a similar kind of feeling, but it'll be his own take on it. So I'm excited to see what he brings.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. It's obvious, I think, at this point, because Henry Cavill was playing it for 3 seasons. People started liking of it because he is also a big fan of games, the books, and they liked it, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, he left, and Liam Hemsworth is coming, and everybody's like on that ride of being mad at him. You're like, how dare he, and all that stuff. So that's gonna be interesting to find. And the thing is, I think a lot of people also in general were kind of concerned with Witcher is how it was kind of deviating in some ways from, I think, the books and how it was. And I think there were like rumors or whatever that Henry decided to leave because of that. We're not so sure, but like those things happened, and those kind of deviated away from the source material in a way. I think similar to how Halo also did that as well, deviating a little bit, which people didn't like. So like I don't know if you want to say anything about it, but like what do you think about like these shows which are not exactly following the source material step by step, but deviating a little bit, which is fine, but probably deviating a little bit too much that people don't really enjoy it as much as they thought they would.
Yeah, I think we have to give different mediums their space. You know, the Netflix show is a different medium from the video game, which is a different medium from the books. And then there's comic books, and those are different as well. You know, there's graphic novels of The Witcher that were made by Dark Horse Comics, in collaboration with CD Projekt Red. So there's some design elements that are the same, and a lot of input going into those comics from CD Projekt, but they stand on their own as well. And I think the TV series is the same. It's got to have room to be its own thing. There were choices that were made in the writers' room that I don't understand. I don't know why they made those choices. And I'd love to have a chat with, you know, some of the writers about why those choices were made, just so I can intellectually understand why. Because if you look at something like The Last of Us TV series followed the game very, very closely. And, you know, there weren't any books, I don't think. I don't think there were any books of The Last of Us. But, you know, the Last of Us TV series followed the game narrative pretty closely with some minor alterations. And it worked wonderfully. And fans of the games loved it. And, you know, and that's all good. You know, the Netflix Witcher series, they had not only the books, but they also had the games, which slightly reinterpreted the books a little bit as well. And they also had the comic books, which again reinterpreted a little bit for the medium. So that, you know, there's a certain amount, you got to give them a certain amount of room to grow, room to be who they want to be. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I enjoyed Witcher season 1, though it took me ages to catch on to the time jumping.
Oh yeah, I can understand.
I didn't clock it at first. I watched
Yeah.
the first couple episodes, and I was like, what's going on? And finally, I think my wife, she pointed out, she went, I think we're jumping back and forth in time. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, of course we are. Of course that's what we're doing. But, you know, aside from that, I really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, season 2 and season 3 started to go down paths I didn't fully understand.
Yeah.
I didn't lose interest, but I started going, okay, I need to rethink how I need to restructure how I'm thinking about this show,
Yeah.
because it's not doing what I expected it to do, and I'm disliking that, and perhaps I shouldn't. Perhaps I need to watch it and judge it on its own merits and leave the games and the books
Yeah.
over to the side.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's harder to do that, to be honest. If
It's hard. If
Yeah.
you love something,
Yeah.
you know, and so many people did love the books or love the games. You know, some people have only ever played the games and never
Yeah.
read the books. Some people have only read the books and never played the games. Some people have done both.
Mm.
And then the Witcher Netflix series comes out, and how are they gonna please anybody?
Yes. Very true. Yeah. Oh my god. I think in some ways I see also it was kind of similar, I think, in some ways with Harry Potter movies and how the books had some extra stuff or some things that were changed, and
Mm,
people just didn't like how a lot of details were just not added in the movie and all that stuff, which a lot of people have complained for so long, which I also understand at the same point. But I think the basic characters, I think, were set right. I think there's some things obviously changing in there, but I think I kind of feel the similarity between The Witcher or
Mm.
and the Harry Potter movies, which I hope I don't know how the season 4 is going to turn out. I'm looking forward to see how what it is and how it's going to be, how Liam Hemsworth is going to do. I hope there's not like a hate fall of like flowing through onto him, and I hope that doesn't happen too much because my God, that's gonna kill him. But
Yeah.
people are just crazy about these changes and stuff like that, and they just go all in on the hate speech. So I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to see how it actually turns out to be. Yeah.
I think he's gonna be good. I think he's gonna do a good job. But I think also, uh, because of the reaction I had to the Witcher TV series, which was, I think I've gotta forget about the games and the books, and I've gotta
Yeah.
judge this on its own merits. And so I wanna do that with Liam as well
Mhm.
in season 4. I just wanna go in and just watch it just cold and go, "Okay, what are they gonna give us?
Yeah.
What are they bringing to this game? I wanna see what bells and whistles they decided to put on this one."
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I wanna go into watching season 4 with that attitude.
Absolutely. Yeah, same here. And it's fun to see that with Witcher, obviously you've done such a great work, continue to do that, but you continue to work on more games and more wonderful games. With last year you worked on Baldur's Gate 3, you were Bal in there. You had that growly voice and really intimidating at the same time. I really liked it. I really liked the way it was also shown or presented. Love that. It was like I just love villains, I guess. So how was it to play that character in a game which, my God, just blew up and has an insane amount of following?
Wait, it's another story of I almost wasn't.
Oh wow!
I almost wasn't. Um, yeah, I had I didn't even know that Baldur's Gate 3 was recording. I had no clue.
Wow!
And I know a lot of the people who were in it, a lot of the voice actors, but they were being very good about their NDAs. But I had a chance conversation with Neil Newbon, who plays Astarion,
Mhm.
because we knew each other, and we were just having a chat about life, the universe, and everything. And something I can't remember how it came up, but we were talking about Dungeons and Dragons and Baldur's Gate, and I played some of the Neverwinter Nights and things like that,
Yeah.
Icewind Dale and all that stuff. I used to love those games, playing them, and I was just talking about my love for that kind of game. And he was like, "Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay." And he said, "Do you mind if I just pass your phone number on to somebody, Doug?" And I was like, Okay, all right." And I found out later that he passed my number on to one of the main cinematic directors for the
Wow.
game, who then passed my name on to one of the main voice directors. And they were like, "Oh, we would love to get you into Baldur's Gate. Absolutely. Let me talk to a few people." And anyway, so it ended up happening to a big part due to the kindness of Neil Newbon recognizing my passion for this thing I didn't even know was recording, because he was working on it all the time.
Yeah.
He was at that point, he was coming towards the end of 3 or 4 years of
Mm.
working on Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
So, he knew a lot of people and knew a lot of things, and we got on really well. So, yeah, it's Neil's fault.
Oh wow! Oh, that's so cool that Neil was able to bring you upon. And it was really, and he is such a great actor and such a great performer. And I'm so happy that
Yeah.
he's getting all these awards as well. And I had him on the podcast, which is also insane. He was talking about Icewind Dale as well. And he thought like it must be either Icewind Dale or a new game, and he knew that it's either of these two. And then they figured out that it was Baldur's Gate before he got the main role of what he was playing. So it's pretty cool to get to
Yeah.
know that he got you into it, and you're now part of this game, and such an incredible, interesting character. And I think the Dark Urge fans were were really going into it and really loving it. So it was really really cool. Did you get to see like all these scenes and moments and how it all looks?
No, I still haven't seen
Oh,
any of the gameplay with Ball in it.
uh,
It's probably out there on YouTube now
mhm.
somewhere, but I haven't gone looking for it. I
Oh
keep
wow.
meaning to, and I just forget to do it.
I mean, it would be great if you check it out. I think you did a great job, and I loved, as I said, like I love the villains, and I was really drawn to it. I was like, I don't, if even if I was not playing Dark Urge, I think I'll just accept what you wanted. It was really really nice. Uh, but another game that I am really personally a fan of because I love horror games, and you were part of Alan Wake 2. You played
Mhm.
Robert Nightingale, and it was really interesting to see that players get to play the character firsthand, where you're naked and you're walking around and just trying to, and then a lot of things happen. It's like insane. You just get mutilated and all that. How was that? How was that? How did that? How was like working on that game, being Robert Nightingale? Because I know there was like live action moments as well in the games. How was that like?
It was really interesting for me. It was the first time I've ever done proper performance capture in a volume.
Wow.
Um, so, I wore the whole suit and I had the facial capture rig on and the mic pack and everything,
Yeah.
and all rigged up. So that was really interesting. Really enjoyed that. But I also I had to do some weird stuff.
Yeah.
I had to do a full facial capture thing.
Mm.
So they digitized my face, and I had to make all these different shapes with my mouth and my eyes and everything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things like this, so that they could animate Nightingale's face. They also did a full body capture. So you stand both of these things. The facial capture thing. You sit in this chair surrounded by, I think he said it was like 60 or 70 cameras,
Yeah.
and they take all these photographs of you doing all these different things. And then they did a full body scan as well. Again, like 60 or 70 cameras, and they take multiple photos of you, and then they digitize all of that so they can recreate your body in the digital world. So I had to do that. I remember, standing in this space with nothing but like a little G-string thong thing on to, for a bit of modesty, and then having all these cameras take pictures of my 51-year-old body at the time. I was like, "Okay, this is one of those times when I just kinda have to go, 'Fuck it. It's gonna
Yeah.
be okay.'" You know?
It'll pass. Yes.
Small death for my art. Um, but that was interesting, and then I was also sent, and I don't know where this shows up in the game. I don't know how this has informed the game, because I haven't played it yet.
Mhm.
They did a full digital map of my teeth, of my mouth. I had
Wow.
to go to this special dentistry place where they do special prosthetics for people who've had, terrible accidents or whatever, and they took all these X-rays of my mouth, and then they took all these digital images of my mouth as well. So
Wow.
they've got, like, they could totally digitally recreate Doug Cockle.
Oh my god. Wow.
Except for the bits down below.
Yeah.
They never took any pictures of that. I was told that there was going to be a body bits double, and in the end, I think they just made a digital Willy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they did. Um, they did. But that's interesting that yeah, the teeth also being kind of captured. That's very interesting. I don't remember. So yeah, I played the game, finished it. I don't remember seeing that kind of detail. But yes, you in the game you fully naked and all that, the autopsy and stuff like being done, and it was interesting because there's like some jump scares and stuff like that, even as your character does some weird faces and stuff like that, just black and white. It's an interesting way of doing it, I guess. It was a very interesting game, I would say, and some really interesting things happen. But I recently had Sam Lake on the show, and we're talking about full all of his experiences, and he was talking about the game and how everything he wanted to do, and he finally did musicals and stuff. What was it like working with him? Did you get the opportunity to work more with him, or was it like a limited time?
Mm, I met him very briefly. We
Okay.
didn't have any scenes together or anything like that. We we had a day of filming, um, I wanna say out in Uxbridge. I'm not sure about that, but anyways, outskirts of London. We had a day of filming in this warehouse kind of space, and they were filming me and they were filming Sam, I think, just the two of us. And Sam went first, and just before he went on, he surprised me. I felt really silly afterwards because he and I had been interacting on Twitter a bit,
I see.
and so I knew who he was, and I knew who Sam Lake is. But I think I came out of the makeup room. They were doing something with my hair and face and stuff like that, and I just turned a corner, and there was this guy in front of me, and he said, "Hi." And I said, "Hi." And I didn't recognize him at first. I didn't even know he was gonna be there. And then he's like, "I'm Sam." "You know, Sam, we've been talking on Twitter." I'm sorry, I'm doing a very, very poor Swedish accent.
That's fine.
You know, so at least I'm not doing Swedish Chef from the Muppets.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was very nice, and he said, "Oh yes, hello, it's very nice to meet you." And then I said, "Oh, nice to meet you as well. It was really nice." But I felt kind of silly because I just had that moment of, "Who are you?" And I knew exactly who he was. It was in that moment of surprise. I just had a brain fart, but he was really lovely. That's all I saw of him that day. I had lots of makeup to get into. I had to get into a whole prosthetic thing that went right across my chest. You'll know why. Um, I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, a very, very bloody, gory prosthetic that I had to have put on and then wear all day long.
Did you know that you can actually watch this episode and every other episode in the future much earlier than everybody else? You can do that by becoming the channel member or becoming a Patreon member. There are other perks, such as if you want to ask questions, you will be the highest priority. You'll also get guest announcements earlier and much more. So if you want to help support this podcast a little bit more, you can join the Patreon or become a channel member and enjoy some of the perks. And now it's time to continue this conversation. Do you plan on playing any of the games, like maybe Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3? I know you were playing Witcher, you were streaming it on Twitch, but are you planning on playing other games like these ones, the recent ones, or you have that sometime later in the future?
Well, I love playing games, but the the problem for me, and everybody has the same problem, is time.
Yeah,
It's just time.
true.
I love playing games, and as you mentioned, I just started streaming, so I mostly play games when I stream now, or I stream when I play games. I just started playing Witcher 3 again. I've played through it all once before, but I thought, well, if I'm gonna stream, and if people keep saying they wanna, watch me stream Witcher 3, so I started doing that. But I started off streaming with Baldur's Gate 3, really, and, even a little bit further back when I was trying to work out how to stream from a PlayStation 5, um, I did a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn, um, or n Horizon Forbidden West, that one. Um, I streamed a little bit of, Tunic. Do you
Oh,
know
Tunic.
Tunic?
Yeah, that's a very wonderful
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
It's a wonderful game. I love it. It's just so cool. So I've streamed a bit of that. I've been streaming some, Tin Hearts,
Oh, wow.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tin Hearts is really great fun. For those of you listening, or watching, Tin Hearts is a puzzle game, and you open boxes and little tin soldiers come out and they walk, and you have to guide them towards the door, wherever the door is in the room, so they can go off into Tin Hearts Land or whatever. But there's a whole story around all this as well about the toy maker. It's a beautiful little game. If you like puzzle games, Tin Hearts is a beautiful one.
Yeah, it is a very beautiful one. It's amazing that you get to play. You've played a lot of games, and one thing that you mentioned, like you play when you're streaming, or vice versa. I'm somehow also doing that. I play when I'm like, okay, I should stream. I think now I can play, or I will play games only when I'm streaming, or something like that. Where for some reason the playing games for myself, which I used to do, have kind of stopped, or because my mind has now gone into a very different state of like I should be working, and that's when I thought of a game. Maybe I should play a game, and it immediately comes in like I should be working on something, even though I have nothing to work on. I should be working on something, and that's where I
Yeah.
stop it, and then I just don't play the game. And so that's that has also happened. And but for you, like you guys have like a lot of work to do. Obviously, you have a lot of auditions and filming and recording and all that stuff, and a lot of other things. Which one of them is actually Natural Six that you guys will have the new episode coming out. But the time
Yeah.
people watch this, it will be already out. But I think it's coming out April 2nd, if I'm not wrong.
April 2nd.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
super excited. And you got to see your miniature character design, which looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Everybody looks so detailed, so good. What has it been being like in this Natural Six coming out? You guys
Oh
are
man,
working
it's
on it.
so exciting. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. So much fun. W- I mean, look, I'm wearing my Natural Six T-shirt
Yes.
actually. Yeah, Natural Six. So we're kind of like the UK version of Critical Role.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're not the only ones doing this, obviously. You know, there's
Yes.
Ox Venture and Dimension 20 and you know, various other groups
Yeah.
doing similar kinds of things. We just decided to take it in a particular direction. So yeah, we originally we got together. We just wanted to play some Dungeons and Dragons, and then we all kind of were like, actually, we could stream this and people might be interested because of who we all are and, you know, how we work in the industry. So, you know, it's 6 of us and all of us work in as voice actors in games or work in the games industry, in high profile, public facing kind of ways. Yeah, we launch on April the 2nd. We've got tons of good stuff to share. We've got more filming to do. And we're just so excited to see where it goes. I mean, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, and I loved it. I just love the imagination of it, the fantasy of it. It's just so much fun. And I've played a few times as an adult, but not like this. Not like this.
Oh,
This has been an experience, and a really beautiful experience. I've really enjoyed it, and I can't say how wonderful it is to just be able to get together with this group of people who I really, really enjoy hanging out with and playing Dungeons and Dragons for 3 hours. Yeah.
it's
And we
crazy.
record the whole thing, and then,
Yeah.
we have a production studio who's helping us out, and they do all the editing and everything. And I mean, it sounds like a big operation, and it is, but it's all being done by us, and we're not making any money. You know, we managed to raise a lot of money on Kickstarter to get us going because we wanted to have an artist do our character artwork and stuff like that. We wanted a composer to do some theme music for us. We wanted to pay the videographer and the editor for their time. So at the moment, the only pay we're actually getting out of it, and in fact, all of us have put personal money into it. So the only pay we're actually getting at the moment is the actual act of playing the game.
Mhm. Yeah.
So eventually that will change, we hope. We're hoping that, we have approached this as as a business model. We've looked at
Nice.
how can we make this sustainable? Because that's the thing. If we could have just streamed it really cheaply on our phones or something like that, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted it to be something that, could be enjoyed by a wide variety of people
Yeah.
globally. We wanted it to be something that we weren't just pouring our own money into and hoping that we can have a good time. We wanted it to be a business,
Yeah.
but a business with heart and a business built on joy, not on capital gains or anything like that. Just purely on, this is something we were going to do anyways, but we decided actually there's
Mm.
probably a market for it, so we're gonna see what kind of market we can find out there.
Yeah. Wow.
So
It has worked wonders. I gotta say this. There is that niche out there. There's that audience base out there who are so much devoted to D&D and they love watching all these series. As I mentioned, Critical Role who started it, like who are popular, and from there a lot of people started their own stuff, and and you guys have started it as well. And your production quality looks amazing. Love the lighting and all that. It's super cool. Music is pretty cool, and love you guys kind of doing these interaction videos on social media as well. Love the Harry. Who's Harry? It was
Yeah,
really fun to see these videos, and I love these interactions. And super
that was
exciting.
that was Alex's idea. The Who's Harry thing. Roll the dice, Hanley. It's
So good. So
it's really
good.
good fun.
Yeah.
It's one of those wonderful things where I didn't know all these people before we started actually getting together and talking about playing D&D. Um, so I met Harry, and I think I'd met Ben, but we hadn't really spoken. Um, I knew of Holly, and I knew Eva enough. I'd run into Eva at EGX events and things like that quite often. And Alex, I knew a little bit. So a lot of them didn't know each other either. So it was literally, I think it was Alex and Ben who first started talking about it, and they were like, "Oh, because Alex said to Ben, 'Oh, have you ever played D&D?' And Ben was like, 'No, but I'd really like to.' And it's like, 'Oh, I was just talking with Doug the other day, and Doug said he'd like to play some D&D. Maybe the three of us can play D&D.' And then Ben went, 'Oh, I know this guy named Harry who's a DM. He's supposed to be really good, and he's a really nice guy. Shall I give Harry a call?' And we were like, 'Yeah, give Harry a call.' So then Harry was on board, and then I think Ben approached Holly, and um, Alex or Ben might have approached Eva. I'm not sure, but it was kind of this. It just kind of came together really lovely and organically. And like I said, we were just going to get together in somebody's living room and play a game. And then Harry showed up to the very first meeting with this idea for this whole world, the world of Reliquiae. And everybody just went, "Oh my God, this could be so cool." And then we started going, maybe we should stream this and share it.
Yeah. And here we are. Season one's
And here we
coming
are.
April 2nd. Super excited for people to check it out. Looks very cool. I can't wait to watch it. And it's exciting. I'm super excited that you guys are doing this. And earlier you were mentioning how you did acting classes before you taught acting. And I think there is a workshop that you're going to be doing in London on April, month of April, kind of like a workshop, which is pretty cool that you continue to like teach people and make people, because a lot of people get interested now, especially with how voice acting has gone. A lot of people get interested, like, I'm gonna also get into video games, do voice acting and all that. Do you have like maybe 3 pieces of advice that you can give to actors who either are starting out or are already in it and trying their way to get to games?
3 pieces of advice. Okay. For anyone who wants to get into voice acting in games, I get asked this a lot. Do you need to take acting classes to act in games? And the answer is no. You don't have to take acting classes. But if you do take acting classes, and if you get some training of some kind as an actor, then you're going to be better off. So if you're not someone who is already trained or is training to be a professional actor, I highly recommend that if you want to be a voice actor, you go and do some acting classes with a reputable professional, someone someone who's done the job, someone who knows what they're talking about, and someone preferably who has a history of teaching at a high level. That's going to give you the best chance as a young voice actor starting out in the industry. Take some acting classes. So that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice. Okay, well, I'll go with this one today. Don't be a dick. And I know that sounds obvious, and you've probably heard that in other ways, spoken in other ways. But it's really easy in this business to get down because rejection is just a reality. And when an actor is rejected, when any performer is rejected in any way, it's personal because you are the work. So it can be really, really easy to get down on yourself, down on the industry, down on whatever it is, and then put that energy back into the world. We all feel rejection. It never feels nice. I know this sounds easy, but if you want to be a voice actor, learn how to take no and turn it into a positive, because it's going to do you far better in the long run than if you can't do that. Be nice to people, be genuinely nice to people, be interested in other people, the people who you work with. Ask your engineer how their day is. You're not that important. Everybody else around you is just as important as you, and actors can sometimes lose sight of that. Um, so don't be a dick. Be interested in other people, and be genuinely interested in other people, and it'll take you far. And my third piece of advice, there somebody is quoted. I think it was an actor or a director, famous film actor or director, from like the 70s or something, who'd worked in the 50s and 60s, and they were being interviewed in the 70s or 80s, and about what is your advice to young people today trying to get into this business? And they said, persistence, persistence, persistence. And there is some truth to that. I mean, you have to be good as well. You have to have technique, you have to have skill, you have to have talent. Nobody can teach you talent. Um, but you are gonna be told no, and if you really want this, then you just have to get back up again and keep going. Persist. And if you persist long enough, hard enough, and you have talent, and you have skill, and you have technique, something is going to happen. You may never become rich and famous, but you might have a lovely little side career, or you might have that one experience that just makes it all worthwhile. So persist. If you really want it, you've got to persist. That's true for anything in life. If it's something you really want, it's not going to come to you. You have to go to it. So go get it.
Yes. Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, that's something that I am also trying to do. It's just to go get it and try. If nothing else.
Yeah.
I know.
Because ultimately, 25 years from now, if you don't try, you're going to look back and you go, I really wish I had tried.
Yeah.
You know, there's a quote. Sorry, my breakfast is coming back to visit me. There's a quote, something about better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all. Something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, true. I think it's one of those things where, as you mentioned, you don't want to go a few years down the line and then think back and regrets that you never did it. And I listened to Gary Vee, and he has said that so many times. Like, yeah, you know what? That's right. I don't want to go back and see something I just didn't do, and I regrets later on. Like, I never did it because I never get those years back. I cannot time travel. Those things can't happen. So yeah, that's very, very, very true. I know I've taken a lot of time, and I wonder if you have a small enough amount of time, because there's some questions that fans wanted to ask you.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I forgot about that.
Yes, where I said Geralt of Rivia. Yes.
Oh, that's great, though. That's a lovely little mistake. Who is this Geralt?
Who is this
Geralt? Geralt is Geralt's long estranged stepbrother.
He grunts too. Yeah, it is a silly mistake. I was sure, like, I typed it right. I know I didn't even check it, and I just typed it and made it because I make these things earlier, and I never checked it. And I posted on all these places, and one person commented, "Hey, can you just see that typo?" And I was not even looking at the graphics. I was looking at the text that I've written on a tweet. Like, did I said something wrong in the tweet? Everything is right. Why is this person saying Geralt and smiling? Like, why? And then I saw like the big image of like, how stupid can I be of not seeing that? I was just like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? So
It's so easily done, though. It's so easily done. When I'm typing things up, if I have to write Geralt, it often defaults to Gerald.
Oh,
with a
yes.
D on the end.
Hmm.
And if I don't catch it, it'll just stay as Gerald.
Yeah. It's,
So,
it's just how it is. But yeah, please Heal wanted to ask, how long did it take to record all the lines in Witcher 3?
I think this is roughly correct. I think from the time that we recorded the E3 trailer for Witcher 3,
Hmm.
which was the first thing I recorded, I think, for Witcher 3, to the very last pickups for Blood and Wine, it was about 3 years,
3 years.
I think. Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I'm not in recording every single day
Mhm.
or even, Monday to Friday. I was often in for 2 or 3 days because you record as the writing is confirmed,
Yeah.
and then the writers send the confirmed scripts to the voice production studios, and then they start, calling people in and stuff like that. So, I'd go in and record for 2 days, 1 week, then 3 days for another week, then nothing for 3 weeks, and then go in and record for 4 days, and then nothing for a week, so it was like that,
Mm.
but spread out over about 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, it takes a long time, especially the game that big. So many, then we have DLCs, so there's just so much to do. Um,
Yeah,
Alan Sleep asked if you have a favorite monster from the Witcher games.
a favorite monster. What's coming to mind today, he's not really a monster, but he's a creature. It's Johnny.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Johnny.
godling.
Mhm. It's not really a monster,
I
yeah.
re He's not really a monster, but he's a creature. Uh, I love that quest, and I love Johnny. I just think he's the cutest little dude.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's my answer today, Johnny
Mhm.
the Godling.
Johnny the God. I really thought that Johnny would be like the evil guy, evil character, evil young kid, like because I thought like that's how it's gonna go, but then didn't go. I was like, yeah,
Mm.
I'm happy that didn't go that way. Um, Screeching Medusa asks, "What's your favorite roach glitch that you have seen?"
Oh, Roach. Oh, Roach. Do you know, I was streaming Witcher 3 just the other day, and I'm a button masher.
Mhm.
I have very little real strategy. I know which button to push for a
Yeah,
strong attack, which one to push for a light attack, how to dodge and all. I know all this stuff. But then I get into a fight and I panic and I just push buttons, go
yeah.
and hope for the best, right? So I I was streaming the other day. You can go find this. I don't remember which stream it was. I think it was Sunday, one of the Sundays I was streaming Witcher 3. And I chanced upon this group of bandits at a little house, little hut, and they were just swarming around me, and I was button mashing very, very poorly. And then Roach got stuck on a wall, and I couldn't get away from the bandits, so I just had to sit there and be hacked to death by these bandits while Roach just stood there straddling a brick wall, a stone wall. And I thought, well, thank you very much, Roach.
God damn it, roach.
So that's Roach getting stuck on things.
Pretty much.
Roach up on the roof.
That's the best. How did he get up there? I don't know. It's Roach. He has powers. It's just funny to watch these glitches. Amazing. Um, Gaming Ghoul asked if you could voice the lead of any character in any medium, what character would it be?
Voice a character in any medium. Do you know, I just dig Batman. I'd love to play Batman at some point.
Wow, that'd be
I
fun.
think that would be fun. I don't know what medium though. I don't know if that would be a game or if that would be like an animation. Quite like to do a Batman animation actually. That would be fun.
Oh wow. Do you have like do you do like I'm sure you must have done it. Like you do like Batman lines or something like that that you or your version of it. Can we hear that version maybe if you have any?
Well, it would be a little bit like Geralt, I think. It
Hmm.
would be,
Yeah.
that gruff. I mean, he would have to have his Bruce Wayne voice as well,
Hmm. True.
which I haven't thought about. But Batman would be something like this, maybe. criminals in this city had better look out, because the bat is out to scout. That doesn't sound quite right, but it'd be fun to play with, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be great. That would be a good character. Batman, so iconic. My goodness. Um, blah blah 1624 asks, what was the process of realizing Geralt's voice and little mannerisms?
Oh, well, the little mannerisms, I think, came about along the way as I got to know him better and as the writers got to know him better as well. And as the directors got to know him better. So yeah, it's a collaborative effort. So I think that there are, any little special things that Geralt does vocally probably happened as an accident, and then somebody went, "Ooh, that's good, keep that." But the actual process of finding his voice was pretty simple. I went in for an audition, and they just kept saying, so they said, "He's emotionless," and I was like, "Okay, emotionless, I get it. Grumpy hero guy, I get it, okay." And go lower, go lower, go lower. I kept going lower and lower and lower into my voice, and I was like, "I can't go any lower." And finally, somebody said, "Doug, think of Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry."
Oh, okay. Interesting.
You can hear it. So, and
Yeah.
that was kind of what gave me the inspiration. I went, "Oh, I can do that. I can do Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry. Go ahead, punk. Make my day." Well, I was just gonna say that this is the thing with art is that very rarely is anybody actually creating anything new. We're
True.
all copying each other. All artists are copying somebody
Yeah.
else somewhere
Yeah.
along the line. There's truly, genuinely new things are so rare. So yeah, but the key. Sorry, I've got terrible hay fever at the moment. I've got like the the trees are all blooming in my part of England, and I've developed this tree pollen allergy, so I'm a little bit heady. But there is some truth to the saying that how does it go? Copying is the highest form of flattery, something like that. Um, but the key there as an artist is to copy, to be inspired by someone else's work, and then to make it your own. That's where the artistry comes in. Because I've watched so many wonderful actors' performances, and I go, "Oh man, I am so stealing that." I'm
Yeah.
gonna take that and I'm gonna make it my own. I'm gonna use that because that was good. You know,
Yeah.
any artist worth their salt is gonna steal a little bit from good performances that they observe in others.
Yeah, that's true. Getting inspired by any form of art and making it your own is very important, I think. And then there's obviously copycat, or being perfect carbon copy is probably something you shouldn't do, but like being inspired from it very heavily, I think that's, as you mentioned, like it's very rare to find something new. It's very hard to do anything new. It's always
Mm.
a version, maybe a mix of multiple versions, but it's always a version of something else that has already been done. And it goes from there. And if you can bring something new to it, or turn something around, maybe turn a little bit 1-2 degrees to the left, and you can go a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, if you mix blue and yellow, you're always gonna get green.
Yeah.
But it's how much blue and how much yellow, and maybe you put just a tiny little bit of red in there as well and just see what that does, and it's how you mix. You have a palette, and you build your palette through taking classes, through practice, through observing other people's work and taking some of that on board. You build your palette, and then for everything you do, you decide which colors in your palette to use this time
Yeah.
and which colors next time. And that's what we're all doing.
True. Shitish asked this two last questions. Shitish asked, how would Geralt react if he somehow reaches into the world of Cyberpunk?
Do you know, I joked with CD Projekt about putting me in Cyberpunk, putting Geralt into Cyberpunk, but the way I joked about it, I said, what you should do is you should have Geralt, but he owns a bar. His name is Jerry, so he runs Jerry's bar or something like that. Jerry's Tiki Lounge. And so you've got Geralt, basically, but, not Geralt, Jerry, behind the bar. And then Jerry has two waitresses or barmaids or, whatever, serving persons. And one is named Jennifer, and the other one is named Trisha.
Okay.
And you go into this bar, and you have these interactions with these, with Geralt and Yen and Triss, but not. And you get quests from them. You get a quest from Jerry. They didn't do it, but I wish they had. I think that would have been great.
Oh my God, that would have been so good. Yes. But hopefully in Cyberpunk 2 they can do it. If there's a sequel or something they can do that.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And then you can get that, how the mission kind of ends or something. I think it's a mission ending sound effect, or when there's I don't know how to even say it. There's like the sound effect of Huck and something like that happens when you finish a mission or new objective comes in. If that also plays when you finish it, like it will be a small Easter egg over there. It'll be fun. Like, what is this soundtrack? What is this soundtrack doing here? Like, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. I mean, it would be fun if they did create, and maybe they didn't, I don't know about it, if they did create a character who is like Geralt in Cyberpunk, who you can interact with. That would be fun. Yeah.
So much possibilities. The last question is from Gregor Bud 8217. What's a role that you always wanted to play?
Oh, there are so many. Well, I mean, this is fairly obvious, but I've always wanted to play Hamlet. I'm too old for it now. Too old to play Hamlet now. I'm starting to creep into the King Lear years. So,
wow.
Some of those iconic Shakespearean roles I've always wanted to play. I've been very fortunate. I've had the opportunity to play Benedict and Macbeth. And both of those experiences were fantastic. I really enjoyed them. So that was all great. But yeah, Hamlet would have been fun. I can think of so many wonderful, wonderful roles in films that I would have liked to have played myself. But I can't because the other wonderful actors have played it. So I don't know. It would have to be something. Do you know what I would love to do? I love the TV series Yellowstone.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I love the Kevin Costner era one. I've also watched most of 1812, not all of it yet, which I've really enjoyed. I haven't seen the one that's in the middle. There's 1812, and then I forget what the other one's called, and then there's the Kevin Costner, more modern Yellowstone stuff. I would love to play a significant role in one of those kind of worlds. I just feel like it's something that I should do before I die. I think there's a bit of a Sam Elliott in me that just hasn't been discovered yet.
Yes. Oh, that'd be lovely. That'd be great. I hope that happens, really. And with that being said, I would say I really enjoyed this conversation and really happy that you decided to be here. Thank you so much for taking the time, for even beyond the time I usually go with. And so thank you so much for really giving me your moment.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. And again, thank you for asking me to come on your show.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. And here's a special shout out to the YouTube members, Judas, Kronos, Iron Man WW17, and Kregerbot. And also special shout out to the members from Patreon, Isaac Salazar, Sydney, and James H.